Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. At the very height of the pandemic, important meetings were going on. The SNP's high command were in their bunker, looking to see the later stages of the war. They were moving their forces from various places to other places, and they were having these very important meetings. Now, normally, when you have important meetings in government, there is someone present taking the minutes of the meeting so that you're aware of what was discussed, so that there is a proper record, so that people know what you are saying and the decisions that were being arrived at and the arguments used to arrive at those decisions. It is very telling, therefore, that during these what known as Gold Command COVID pandemic meetings, there were no minutes taken. This is very strange unless you know in advance that what was going to be discussed is so dangerous to your freedom subsequently that you could not afford to have minutes taken, that you could not afford to have anyone keeping any kind of record of the decisions you were making, of the things you were saying, and of the probably illegal and horrific crimes that you were committing, crimes against humanity potentially. And that, of course, is why you don't want a record. Let's have a look. So, no minutes were kept of Nicola Sturgeon's key Gold Command COVID pandemic meetings. Because, of course, there wasn't. They daren't. They must never have what was discussed in those meetings ever come to light, or they will all be going to prison. The former First Minister held meetings with her closest circle. I wouldn't like to get anywhere close to her intimate circle. This was including John Swinney ahead of the cabinet meetings where the COVID pandemic was discussed. So pre the cabinet meetings, they had their inner circle, their high command, where the propaganda minister was there, the armaments minister were there, all these people wearing their little SNP armbands, yellow on black on yellow rather than black on red and white, but very similar design. But there are no minutes or notes from these summits, the UK COVID inquiry heard. And we have to ask why she did not want anything coming out with these very important high-level meetings. And there's Swinney. And if I could only have the balls to tell you, but I don't want to lose my house because I can't back it up. But I've been told from very reliable sources some very truly awful things about that man, of which you can use your imagination. The UK COVID inquiry's lead counsel blasted the Scottish Government after he revealed that no minutes were kept of key meetings that Nicola Sturgeon held with senior colleagues through the pandemic, which were called Gold Command summits. It is the latest secrecy row to befall the former First Minister. Everything about her is secret because the truth is so appallingly dangerous. They dare not tell the truth because they don't want to spend the rest of their lives in jail. We know they're being investigated. There's investigations now over corporate homicide. That can only involve Sturgeon and her coterie of high ministers in their jackboots, very posh, uniforms. Jamie Dawson KC claimed the group of officials met ahead of the cabinet meetings to discuss the virus, with these often including John Swinney and other ministers, and how they could weaponise it, I presume, and how they could use it to their own advantage, how they could perhaps get untested individuals thrown into care homes, hopefully taking out all those elderly who tend to vote for unionism. It's very politically useful kind of virus, isn't it? There was never any notes taken, despite public policy likely to have been discussed. All meetings should have records. All meetings should be recorded. There should be a public record, and it should be released. If not immediately, then afterwards it should be released. People need to know what decisions are being made by the people that they've elected, that the people that they're paying for. And for them to be secret like this shows that these people are corrupt, dangerous, criminal, psychopathic, sociopathic, guilty of crimes against humanity perhaps, certainly guilty of something. Otherwise, why would they keep it secret? Miss Sturgeon has previously been blasted for failing to keep minutes at various important meetings during her time in Bute House, including during the Alex Salmond scandal and the Ferguson Marine debacle. Systemic secrecy meant that after she left the role, her legacy has been tarnished. She had a shit legacy before it. The inquiry is sitting in Edinburgh over the next 3 weeks as it probes the pandemic response in Scotland. And on the first day of the hearings, Mr Dawson blasted the Scottish Government over a number of issues, which has prevented his officials from scrutinising it. There was delays, there's hiding, there's evasion, nobody admits anything. There was deletion, even though they knew they shouldn't, but they were deleting anyway. Everyone was doing it because what was there was so criminal. It was akin to the Third Reich. It was akin to what was going on in the 30s and 40s in Germany, in Sobibor, in Auschwitz, in Baden-Baden. That's what these people were up to, and they were no different. He said there were meetings in which the First Minister and or Deputy First Minister and occasionally other Cabinet Secretaries would meet with senior policy advisors. They became colloquially known within the Scottish Government as Gold or Gold Type or Gold Command meetings. These would typically take place over the weekend or on a Monday immediately before Cabinet, which tended to meet on a Tuesday. It appears that no minutes of the meetings of the groups were kept. Because of course not. Look at the smug look. Look at the smug. Look at us. We're in power. We're never going to prison. We're never going to get paid. We're never going to pay for our crimes. We previously told how Mr Dawson bemoaned the difficulty the inquiry had in forcing the SNP to hand over all the messages it asked for. Humza Yousaf and Shona Robertson claimed that a request had been made late in the year, but that, of course, was complete and utter bullshit. It had been made earlier, way earlier, and they knew. But they needed to delay it. They needed to sift and verify and filter and extract all the messages that would send them to jail. The lawyer told Lady Hallett that with difficulty, messages from 85 separate groups have now been disclosed, but not in full. And the effort, my lady said, as I set out in the last preliminary hearing, has involved a number of requests. I'm pleased to say that after a certain degree of political controversy over the issue, a large number, but not all, of the documents have now been made available. Only the ones that won't send these bastards to prison. Anything that would have sent them to prison has been shredded, burnt, buried and bollocked. It won't ever, ever come to light. Unless, of course, it does. Mr Dawson confirmed that 54,000 documents, including cabinet minutes, situation reports and advice, commentary and recommendation supplied to ministers ahead of key policy decisions. He said the Scottish Government has provided us all the documents it considers falls within the important categories. It's not for them to consider what is important. It is up to the inquiry to consider what is important. The inquiry must be given everything and it must filter and sift and extract, not the SNP. He said, we therefore approach these hearings on the basis that we have everything that we need. That's not true. He said, if that proves not to be the case, we will want to know why. Well, you better start asking why, because you can guarantee you have not got everything you need. Senior figures include Miss Sturgeon, National Clinical Director Jason Leach, and former Health Secretary Jean Freeman, all of whom I think, personally, my view, opinion, are guilty of the mass murder of many thousands of people in care homes. But that's just my opinion. The Scottish Government's counsel, Geoffrey Mitchell KC, hit back at the claims that the SNP administration were too secretive. He said that ministers had sought to be open, transparent and accountable in respect of the decisions made. Now, straight away, bullshit. If that was the case, where were the minutes? Why are you not releasing all the documents? Why did it take so long to get all these things? Why were all the WhatsApp messages deleted? Why were you doing your communications through games? It's all a load of shit, and you're trying to tell us that it isn't. Don't be pissing on my cornflakes and telling me it's milk. He told the inquiry formal records of decisions were kept and the decisions were communicated to the Scottish Parliament in oral and written statements, in the answering of parliamentary questions and in the participation of ministers in meetings of the parliamentary and of committees. What needs to happen is, in future, every single meeting, every single thing that has to happen has to be recorded. Must be recorded. And if it isn't, it's got to be a crime. And certainly no one should be using anything other than official communications in order to deal with it. And if they do, it's got to be a crime. Well, the inquiry continues. We'll probably touch on this again later. I'm going to round off this bit. We'll come up and we'll finish the video. Everything about the SNP is shady, secretive, it's lies, it's corrupt. Everything they touch withers. All goodness flees. Light runs. It is a dark organisation filled with very, very perverted, dirty predators. They will do nothing good when they can do wrong. They will tell no truth when lying is just as easy, and lying, it comes to them, as easy as breathing. They cannot afford the truth. They must not tell the truth. Nothing about them is in any way good. They are the epitome of evil. They are the epitome of corrupt, crawling nastiness. Open them up and everything inside is writhing, maggot-like, and stinks. They need to be gone. I'll stop now. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring that bell, leave a like, leave a comment. Please share the video. Until next time, stay safe, stay well, and I will speak to you later. Bye.